T-minus 5 minutes.
Remember. What do you remember? Kill who? Max.
A woman mysteriously being pulled by this hook.
Somehow got low enough and got to the point where it was up in the air.
And they may have proof the newspaper building is haunted.
We did capture a black shadow figure that moved, looked like it was moving from the hook of the doorway towards the elevator.
T-minus 4 minutes.
797, are you hearing? Lots cleared. 7, go ahead. How about you at 10 o'clock high? This is Houston. Say again, 7? We have a curfew at 10 o'clock high.
Massive fish and bird kills in Arkansas. Up to 5,000 blackbirds fell from the sky in the town of Beebe. This happened just before midnight on New Year's Eve. And then tonight, we're learning some 100,000 fish have washed up on the shores of the Arkansas River.
In October, a Dallas research group released new information for the Sasquatch Genome Project, claiming there is now DNA evidence proving they say that Bigfoot is indeed no longer a myth, but rather a human hybrid living among us.
T-minus 3 minutes.
An object which is a detectable for all time but appears to be tumbling. Always had it ever since yesterday. It just seems to be tagging along with us.
People in Alert Bay say they've been hearing strange screams, howls from the forest at night.
And I just froze. Crickets stopped. It was an eerie silence. I was scared to death.
T-minus 2 minutes.
Under the tree line, there's an orange orb, and it was traveling, I'd guess, 40, 50 miles an hour. And it hit the tree line, and then it would just start to move up and just explode into like 5 balls.
Well, some residents are saying today that they see fighter jets chasing that UFO.
3 very mysterious shiny lights over Breckenridge have police and residents puzzled. Just before noon today, law enforcement agencies started getting reports of UFOs.
Well, there may have been another chupacabra sighting not too far from here. That's the mysterious animal known for sucking the blood out of goats.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
T-minus 1 minute.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds.
What are you trying to prove?
That there is life after death. There is something besides this life.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
They're here.
Okay. We should be good.
Okay.
Max started.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Paranormal Social Radio. I'm Max
Hola.
Wagner. And there's Chris Menifee, Lisa Hatchett, and we are on here tonight with John Ferguson, a.k.a.
Count Gregore. Good evening.
What movie are you going to watch tonight?
Well, like I said, I'm so excited to have John on with us tonight. I've watched him lots of times. Probably every, time he was doing the Shock Theater, I watched it. I always tuned in, and I just thought it was great. So I'm really excited about having, him on. He's legendary. He's an icon. And John, just start telling us everything.
Well, I can get through it because, basically because I'm talking, do you know, this is 2017, just real quick. Next year, 2018, will be a 90-60 year. John Ferguson, 90, Count Gregore, 60.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's next
That's
year,
amazing.
2018. I was exactly 30 years old when I stepped in front of that camera and said, "Good evening. This is Shock Theater. This is Count Gregore." So how I got there I was in Indiana, got out of college, and got a Dear John letter. So much to my girlfriend when she went to Chicago to dance, and I traveled with a dog show. That's another story. But he was a retired policeman out of North Carolina, and he taught traffic safety with these 9 dogs. And he was in Terre Haute, Indiana, and his assistant had to leave and go back to North Carolina emergency. So these guys that knew me came in and said, "Hey, John, we've got a problem." And the guy owned the clothing store said, I found out what it was, and he said, "Well, he needs to go. Go ahead." So I got my clothes packed, and I met this gentleman, Ernest Presley. Jumped in there, and he's got a 1948 Woody with a trailer and 9 dogs. And I jumped in that, had no idea where we were going. I just was going with him. And I think he had about another 2-3 months, and we ended up in Chicago, played 5,000 kids in Chicago. But what I would do is I'd ride with him, and I'd go in and check the schools out, the stage, get everything pre-set up. He had little stands for each dog, one thing and the other, so I learned what he had to do, and then I could get that all taken care of, and he'd work for the dogs. So we got that, and I was just what it was. And I tell you what, I never had more fun. I got paid $35 a week, my first paid professional job in show business, but also an understanding the jargon of show business about, when you're doing a show and you got a problem, he said, "We got to clean up this act." Well, I cleaned up that act every time we stopped at a motel. 9 dogs.
Joy.
Yeah.
Sound like a crappy job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I learned what clean up the act really meant. But it was fun. And so when I got through, and he paid me $35 a week, paid all my expenses. And when I got through and got back to Terre Haute, there were some guys packing up. Some friends of mine were musicians, and one guy wanted to be a comedian and write radio, and they were all packing up to go to California. So I talked to my mom, and I said what was going on. And with her wise ways, she always talked to me about it. She said, "Well, there's only one way you're going to find out, isn't there?" So I said, "Yes, ma'am." So I got my money and all that and took off, naive as I could be, and we jumped in there and went into Hollywood, California with this friend of mine. He was driving. And I ended up, so we were out there, so where do we go from here? So it was like an exploration, trying to figure out where to go, what to do. My original plan is I really wanted to go to Pasadena Playhouse. I'd read about it all my life, growing up, reading my mom's magazines in a small town in Indiana with population at maybe 5,000. And this is all in a very depressed area because coal mining had quit and shut down, and there was a depression going on. So, it was poor. It was at that time.
Yeah.
But we survived, got through it. And I just dreamt. I read the magazines because they were cheap. My mom would do this, have them all the time. And I just grew up reading about this. In high school, I did like the high school typical plays. I was a member of the drama club and the thespian, you got your points. And so in college, I got in college, not even knowing by the time I was a sophomore what I was going to do. And a friend of mine switched, so I switched my major to special education. But I took a radio class, and once I took that radio class, I was hooked. And so I took radio and theater almost as 2 other majors. So I graduated with that degree. So when I did use that, so rather than teach, I decided hold on to that. I'll come back and teach maybe, but I'm going to California. So I came to Hollywood, California. and I couldn't go to Pasadena Playhouse, but I got the paper, looked around, and finally found a little theater group called the Playhouse production house, whatever. And the director was from England. She was a protege of Max Reinhardt. It was the Highland Playhouse of Dramatic Arts, and she taught classes. And there was a big studio for dancing and ballerina teaching and all that. And they had a small little proscenium stage. So I auditioned for a show, and I ended up my first play I was in. I played a 74-year-old grandfather in Happy Times. It was a French play, and it was about raising a 15-year-old young boy. But just think of Maurice Chevalier. It was that type of character, bon vivant. And he was out there with the ladies every evening. But I'm 24, and I played and having the youth part of it into the older look, the makeup, is what made it work. And so I did that. Then I played another show come up, and it was called the Bill Girls. It was a made movie about the end of the Second World War. I did that, and he actually had the lead in it. But I also played 5 different roles in that movie, in that play, because she would alternate cast in the weekends because it helped her get more people in. And of course, people wanted the exposure. We would buy the tickets to the state for the show, and we could go out and sell them back and make our money. And that would assure her the cost and everything. And through that, I ended up winning. Even if she had a one-act play come up, I'd gone out back home to visit, and when I came back, she said, "I'm glad you're here. We're doing a one-act play, and we're going to enter it in it was the San Gabriel Mission Playhouse, which I have. You can, if you get a chance to go to Google, look up the San Gabriel Mission Playhouse and see something out of it. I mean, it's just absolutely, I can't even describe it, but it is now a preserved historical artwork. I mean, stage. It is just something unbelievable. And I got to perform on that stage. And those things were all happening to me. Well, there was a contest. They had the directors. I mean, they had the Los Angeles Dramatic Art people and all of this, and they treated it just like the Oscars. And I had not eaten. I was totally broke. So when I got back early, drove her car and had the set. It was set in like a little island, Pacific island. It's called the Leper's Bell. And anyhow, after the whole show was over, they were giving the awards, and I was late getting back up there to sit because I was so hungry. They had a loaf of bread, so I ate the loaf of bread, and I had a Coke there so I'd have something to eat. And when I sat down, got there, and they announced the Best Supporting Actress Award, and they said Best Supporting Actor Award goes to John Ferguson. I'm sitting there applauding, did it. And people said, "John, will you go down to that?" They called me straight, "That's you." I said, "What?" And it was. And how does this happen? But I go down. And I'm still on stage with the head casting director of Universal International Studios, handing me a makeup kit from Max Factor and an envelope which I still have from the Hotel Green in Pasadena, which inside and on the outside it says Best Supporting Actor. There was a $5 bill in there. I got to eat the rest of the week. So with all of that, I'm in California doing that. And one guy in the play that I'm in, that Happy Times, had the lead from Tulsa. He had 2 or 3 of his friends out there. All of my friends I came out with had already gone back to Indiana. So now I'm out there by myself pretty much. And so meeting them, and the other guys from Nebraska. So we're all living in a place called the Bohemian Village, right off of Sunset Boulevard, a little strip. And his wife came out, and when his wife came out, she brought her friend out, her friend. And I knew they were coming. So we had this one bigger place, so I moved out into a room by itself so his wife and her girlfriend could come out and have a place to stay. And so when they got there, this young lady, 25 years old, and was recuperating and recovering from open heart surgery.
Oh, wow.
In 1953. So we got acquainted, one thing and the other, and that was June, and by September they were ready to head back to Tulsa. And I said, I'll get my stuff out of the hospital. No. We'll get it now because you won't come out. We're going to get